Hello friends, this is Dr. Mohammad Kaleem Khan, professor in the Department of Forensic Medicine and which is attached to the Jain Medical College, Aligarh. We will be discussing a topic here that is injury. Injury, it seems very small or very small term, but we can say that we are dealing with it on the daily basis. That we get injured at home, we get injured at the workplace, we get injured at the roadside, railway traffic, and very various common places. Sometimes we are not getting injured but get injured because of the some the climatic condition and all such things. So we will be going through all the basic things of the injury, including classification, further the division of the topics, further their elaboration in the long due course, and we will be having a good discussion in long time. As per the definition, injury it is in our constitution, that section 44 IPC. It says that any harm whatever illegally caused to any person in body, mind, and reputation or property. Body, mind, reputation, or property, which means we have to at least consider mind also, property also, and reputation also. This is the legal term, injury in the legal form, but we will be discussing more its uh, biological term, that is wound. And we are having wound, any breach in the natural continuity of any tissue of the living body. Natural continuity, it means we will be seeing the injuries in the skin, below the skin, and into the tissues, which will be any wound, which any injury which will be breaching it in any form. We will be dealing in due process. Wound or injury can be best defined as damage to any part of the body due to application of mechanical force. Mechanical force is just a force which push or pulls. In this, just a very common word, push or pulls, or we will see in the different other way. Some jurisdiction have legal definition of the wound, which usually requires the integrity of the body surface to be breached. It means body surface. Sometimes body surface, it is mainly the skin and the area, but we considered it on the other part also, that is uh, we have organs and the bones and the injury in the brain, chest, abdominal cavity. These are injuries are considered to be injury. We will be coming into it in coming slides. Classification of the injury. We have classified injury as per the appearance, first of all, which is very much appearance by the weapon, that is sometimes blunt weapon. The first classification is that produced by blunt weapon, that is abrasion. Abrasion is basically very simple scratch, you can say, that is scratch. Contusion, it is inside deep wound which leads to bleeding inside and leaves some of the coloration, discoloration on the outside. And the laceration is basically cut and the mutilation of the tissue. This will we will be having a detailed lecture on each and every topic in the coming lectures. Then the sharp weapon, which is as like knife. Blunt weapon is like lathi, like ground surface, like any of the blunt object. Whereas sharp weapon, knife, pierce, and other things which are very sharp, that can lead to incised wound and stab wound if it is penetrated into the body. Then we have firearm wounds, which is another type of stab wound. Firearm, in we have bullet which goes into the body. Then we have fractures, that is again maybe because of the stab wounds, maybe because of the blunt forces, then we can be because of the other very strong forces. Further continuation of this, we have thermal injuries. This is another type of injury which is caused due to heat. Heat, when applied, it causes injury to the tissue. Then we have different classification of the heat injuries. That is, heat injury can be from the cold, which generally it is basically variation of the temperature, which is from our normal body temperature is around 37 degrees centigrade. If body temperature is goes below, then we have different injuries. If body temperature goes above, then we have different injuries. If the body temperature goes below, yeah, our surrounding temperatures goes below, like nowadays we have a cold in northern India, then we have hypothermia, which is generalized temperature going down of the body temperature, in which we can have, when the temperature comes to 35 degree centigrade, we will have a hypothermia, cold feeling. Below that, at 33, we have uh, shivering. Then we can have heart changes, then further brain changes. The person can lead to death by around 22 degrees centigrade. We will discuss in detail in other slides. Then we have frostbite. Extreme exposure to some extremity, like mountaineers and hiking person, they get frostbite in their foot. Trench foot, long exposure of the wet condition and the low temperature. Immersion foot, again it is again the foot having put in the low temperature fluid, that is called immersion foot. Generalized hypothermia, again we have overall body temperature goes down. Then we have a thermal injury produced by application of heat, and it means the object is being heated. Then that causes dry burn, it is caused by flame. Then we have that is called by that caused by wet fluids like water or oil. Then injuries produced by general application of heat in over, that means overall the temperature of the uh, environment is increased, like in heat. Summer we have hyperpyrexia, that is called heat stroke. Then we can go for heat exhaustion. Then we can develop heat cramps in the body muscles due to the lack of the fluids which are lost in the sweats and other bodily fluids, that can lead to cramping of the muscle like this. There will be pain also. Chemical injuries, we have very big section on this, that is we call it vitriolage, very rampant condition in our country, that is acid attack. So chemical injuries are generally corrosives. It can be acids and alkalis, which is acids are very much available in the market due to battery works, and then these acids are somehow goes into the hands of miscreants and they throw acids on some people's face. Then we have weak acids like irritants, which can cause mild abrasion and mild irritation and mild bruise. Injuries due to electricity, we have big topic on this. Electricity can cause arrhythmia and death also. Electricity can cause localized burning also, depending upon the current and the voltage. Lightning, we have always change in the temperature and change in the weather and the atmospheric condition that lead to lightning from the sky, and that can lead to great damage. X-ray exposure can lead to injuries. Radioactive active substances exposure can lead to injuries also. Legally, we can say that it can be a simple injury or grievous injury. Simple injury we can say that in simple injuries we don't have much, but it is which is not grievous. We can say that. We will come to that in detail though. Grievous hurt, we have 8 clauses for that, and these legally, we as a forensic people, we should be very much clear that our legal opinion on these two injuries is very much important for the police and the judicial system. And depending upon this, we can say that the IPCs that can be applied to the various cases can be changed. So we will be focusing on this also, as we are very much responsible citizen. As a citizen, we know that we should know that how to prepare, how to tell the which type of injury it is, how to prepare injury report. We will come to that, and it is a very big topic and very vast and very interesting also, and very helpful to the society and the judicial system. We can say that legal aspect of the injury is very much important, as well as the other aspect also. Depending upon the manner of death, it can be suicidal injury like hanging, or cut injuries, homicidal, that is somebody kills someone, accidental like road accident, railway accident, and some other accident in the farm industries and other industries and other transportation injuries. Wound can be defensive, like we are getting, somebody is beating us, we get defensive wound on this aspect. And we can get fabricated wound also. Nowadays it is very common. Fabricated wounds means somebody inflict injuries on themselves, inflict injury on them, on himself or themselves, and present like it is being done by somebody else. That is fabricated, self-inflicted or fabricated wounds. These are very much nowadays common, to implicate someone else. This is again the legal domain we will be discussing, and where it is very interesting nowadays, because most of the people are being fabricated or implicated due to fabricated wounds. Wound in relation to death, that can be antemortem wound, that can be post-mortem wound. This is the various phenomena of injuries, how it is being caused. The tangential force can lead to abrasion. Tangential force moving from here, it moves like this and takes away the skin. Similarly, blunt force leads to injury on the deeper to the skin, that is causes the rupture of the blood vessels and all that, and leads to blood accumulation there. Then we have laceration by blunt force that crushes the skin and all the tissue to the deep. Then we have sharp injuries. Sharp injuries can lead to very sharp incised wound. Mechanism of wound production. Wound production is caused by mechanical force, which may be either moving weapon. A weapon is moving like this, or the moving body, like I am moving somewhere. The moving weapon, like somebody strikes with the weapon, and the moving body, that somebody gets accident while driving a motorcycle or somewhere, and the strikes with the pillar or the divider. That is the moving body. So in both the moving weapon, counter force is provided by the inertia of the body. In moving body, rigidity of the stationary object in a causes the injury. In any way, the some of the moving body stops suddenly and injury is caused. Due to the impact between the propelling force and the counter force, energy is transferred to the tissue of the body, thus causes a change in their state of rest or motion. Human body contains many complex tissues such as solidity like bones, fluidity like blood, elasticity like fat tissues, and the tendons. Density, we have a lot of dense tissues, hence vary their physical properties. Due to these properties, the injuries may vary. If it is hard tissue, the injury may be less. If it is a soft tissue, injury may be more. If it is elastic, the injury may not happen. May just tissue extends to somewhere and come back. Therefore, there is no uniform effect on the body. All the body tissue except one that contains gases are resistant to compression. So, gases which are containing gases like intestine and all that, they have less chances of injury. Shear strain, again a strain in the tissue produced in the body by forceful alteration, and it changes its shape but not volume. Means in abdomen, if somebody pulls a force, it will go down deep and it will come. The tissue will change its shape, but all our volume remains the same, and it will come back and the tissue will come to the normal. But if it exceeds the force exceeds the elastic portion, then there is a breakage in the tissue. When the tendency of the organ exceeds, it ruptures and the bone fractures. The nature of the object or the instrument, blow from pinpoint sharp edge weapon can lead to abrasion. Force is concentrated over limited area resulting in incision or deep penetration. It means we have a pinpoint like pin or very pointed knife, we will be putting force per unit area. Unit area will be very small. This will define all the injuries. Injuries per unit area, force per unit area will define all the injuries. The more the first force per unit area, the more deeper the injury is. The less the force per unit area, the less injuries it is. It means if a weapon is sharp, pointed, the injury will be more. If weapon is blunt and broad, then the injury is less. Hard and friction of the divided tissue passage and the instrument, all the things. The more sharp the weapon is, the more injury can happen. Then blow from blunt force. Blunt force can cause injuries over relative large areas, so the damage caused to the unit of mass is less than when the force is applied over the small area. If force is over large area, then the injury will be less. A rapid transfer of energy over this small area is more likely to produce wound that an unequal amount of large area. Rapid transfer of energy is fatal than the slow transfer. Now we will see that how the rapid transfer of energy. It means we will come to a formula of the energy, that is energy is equal to half mv square, mass and the velocity square. So the more the velocity, the more the energy is. Amount of energy discharged, kinetic energy is in the body which is moving. If it is completely discharged under tissue, then the injury is more. It depends upon mass of the body and the movement of the body. If mass is more, then the injury is more. If velocity is more, then the injury is 4 times. Then we can see that v square, velocity square. An object with definite velocity and definite weight has a definite amount of energy. When the mass doubles, kinetic energy is also doubled. However, when the velocity is doubled, kinetic energy is increased 4 times. This indicates that the velocity has far more influence on the energy as compared to mass of the object. Continued conditions under which energy is discharged. Again, energy is discharged depending upon the striking surface. Moving objects have energy due to their movement that is directly proportional to their mass and the square of their velocity, and explained above. When moving objects are stopped suddenly and encounter with the stationary object, again moving stationary object here, either object is moving or the object is stationary. It depends upon the energy dissipated, energy, how much energy is being transferred at the point of impact. The energy at the site of the resistance, which causes various types of injuries like abrasion, contusion, laceration, and incised wounds. It all depends upon the uh, transfer of the energy. On the other hand, if the human body is moving, encounter the stationary objects, similar injuries happen. I have already explained in the previous slides that either the object is moving or the human body is moving. Whichever comes to the to strike, injury is caused. Nature of the tissue, again we have already discussed. The tissue that encounters the resistance suffers damage depending upon its type as well as nature. Bones being tough undergo fracture on infliction of injury, while muscles develop hemorrhage due to rupture of blood vessel in them. Soft tissues also tend to have hemorrhage or may rupture on infliction of severe force, especially in case of large organs like liver. Even mesenteries get torn by blunt force into the abdomen. So we can see that all the injuries can happen depending upon the body tissue, depending upon the force applied, depending upon the nature of the placement of the organ. So we will be dealing with each and every topic in coming classes. Then we have anatomy of the skin. If we can understand the anatomy of the skin and the different parts of the skin which are on the different part of the body, we can understand how the injuries can happen. Most wound involve body surface. Reminder of the structure of the nomenclature of the skin subcutaneous tissue is appropriate. Most superficial is the keratinocyte dead layer of the cell. The stratum corneum, which varies greatly in thickness from one part of the body to another. That on the sole and palm in the thickest. So the sole and palms have the thickest skin. So there will be less injuries on this. Whereas as compared to other tissues like scrotum, eyelids, it can cause injuries very easily. So thick skin, less injury, thin skin, more injury. This has forensic relevance, that the amount of injury that is needed to penetrate the skin and allow bleeding from the underlying tissue. The living layer of the skin combines with the horny layer to form the epidermis, which has no blood vessels in its thickness. The epidermis is generally corrugated with under surface of papillae and deep into the dermis. Epidermis is the top layer and the dermis is the underlying layer. The degree of undulation, where there are various fibrous structures that support the skin, varies greatly from the place to place. Thinner skin tend to have flatter junction between dermis and epidermis. So thin skin have low dermis fat tissue, and it can have a less impact, less support, whereas dermis, which consists of mix of connective tissue carrying the skin adnexa such as hair follicle, sweat gland, and sebaceous gland. It has rich network of blood vessels. It means if we go to deeper structures like dermis, then we have more injuries and the blood will come out. And lymphatics, it means the fluid will come out. Numerous nerve damage it can lead to nerve pains or pain. Pain is the very good phenomena for the injury. If pain is happening, it means something is happening. The pain tells the body that there is something is happening. Those the nerve endings are everywhere in the body, and they send signal to the brain that we are having some injury somewhere. Such types of tactile pressure and various receptors are there, are nerves receptors that tell the body. If we are touching, it tells the brain that somebody is touching. If we are pushing, then it tells the body somebody is pushing here. Then heat, if it is heat is applied, then another pressure is receptor is there. That's it. Something is hot is being applied, hot or cold. This is the structure of the skin. You can see the hair shaft, sweat pores. Then we have epidermis. In dermis, we have all these structures like erector pili muscles, nerves, hair follicle, and the veins, sweat glands, and the deep blood vessels, deep fascia, subcutaneous tissue. Then we have muscle, then we have bones. So we can say that we have mostly, if we will be dealing with the injury of the skin like abrasion or the bruise or the laceration, we will dealing with these structures, and these structures will be damaged, whereas in other injuries we will having different structures to be damaged. So with this we will conclude this lecture today, and in the next coming lectures we will be dealing each topic in the separate and very elaborate manner.